2001 felt like a fever dream. A match was struck to hide the truth. They claim they found their man. They claim the case is closed. The sirens keep on screaming, but did they get it right? Did they get it right? 20 years of waiting in the tall weeds, watching the flames climb up the pine trees. Justice is a heavy word to hold. Is it really settled? Is it really settled, Miss Bills? Yes, it's settled. Prosecution stood there shaking hands. They spent the hours clearing the boyfriend while Edrick sat behind the wood. The evidence is thin. The timeline doesn't fit. The sirens keep on screaming, but did they get it right? Did they get it right? 20 years of waiting in the tall weeds, watching the flames climb.
Good morning, everybody. Hi. Feels like a Monday still. So today we are going to go over or continue with start testimony, I should say, in the Edrick Faust case. Can everybody hear me? It is just me today. So, okay, so a little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to put out the same ask that I did yesterday, except I don't need help with the phone anymore. We figured that out. But I still do need help with StreamYard. Again, I will explain what happened. There was a mess up with my son's money, and so we are in a pinch right now. My husband's on disability, and so is my son. So, and I take care of both of them. So, if you like what I do and are willing, I could really use some help with StreamYard this month. It's $45, which is sometimes hefty. So yeah, there's that. So Cash App at $AngiM1984, Venmo at AngiM1984, or sorry, Cash App is AngiM1984YT. Please like, share, and subscribe. Do all the YouTubey things. And yeah, that's it for today. Or as far as, oh, follow me on X at ANGM1984YT, Facebook, Angie Mead. Hello to all the Facebook people. My brain is not braining right now. Sorry, y'all. Oops. If you have any case suggestions, please email me at ngm1984yt@gmail.com. Or if you would like to join the Discord, same email. Yeah, that's it. I'm kind of lost. You can't tell because Maelynn's not here, and she's my streaming buddy. Oh, right. Tonight we will be having a bonus talk shite night, and I'm working on possibly getting a special guest on for that. But yeah, I think that's it for housekeeping. So let's get into it. We ended yesterday after openings, and we are now heading into testimony. So again, oh wait, let's do the Wednesday song first because it is Wednesday. So let's do this and then we will get into testimony. Okay, be right back.
Monday dragged me low. Tuesday took its toll. Now I'm halfway there. Got one eye on the goal. Clock is running slow, but I know it's real. The worst of it is past. Now I start to feel. Hump day, we made it through the gray. Hump day, the week bends my way. Halfway, I'm breathing out today. Hump day, we made it through the gray. Coffee in my cup, shoes tied on tight. One more hill to climb, then I'm out of sight. Clock is crawling slow, but I know it's real. The worst of it is past. Now I start to feel. Hump day, we made it through the gray. Hump day, the week bends my way. Halfway, I'm breathing out today. Hump day, we made it through the gray. Shake off the dust, let the room say yes. I've been carrying weight, now I do my best. We made it through the gray. Hump day, the week bends my way. Halfway, I'm breathing out today. Hump day, we made it through the gray.
Okay. All right, let's do this. Yeah, let's do this. Here we go.
State of Georgia versus Edrick Lamont Faust, SU 24CR0547. Is the state ready to proceed?
You are, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. State may call its first witness.
David Freeman.
Could you get David Freeman, please?
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in the matter pending before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, you can have a seat. Sir, I'm going to ask you to state your name and spell it for our court reporter, please.
David, D-A-V-I-D, Freeman, F-R-E-E-M-A-N.
Sir, I'm going to ask you, back in 2001, how were you employed?
I was a firefighter at Athens, Clark County.
Can you tell the jury, please, just a little bit about your firefighting career with the Athens Clark County Fire Department?
I was generally assigned firefighting or driving the truck. I did both. When I say firefighting, I mean actually pulling the hose off and, fighting fire.
How long did you do that, sir?
26 years.
Was there a primary station that you worked out of in those 26 years?
I worked in all of them at one time or another. I worked at all. We had 6, then we had 7, then we had, I think they got 8 now, but I worked at all of them at one time or another.
Do you recall where you were working in January of 2001? Which station?
Station 5.
Which one is that?
Whit Davis at Whit Davis Road.
Mr. Freeman, do you recall being dispatched with other Athens Clark County firefighters to a call at 160 Fawn Drive?
Yes, sir, I do.
Is that address in Athens Clark County?
Yes, sir, it is.
Do you recall approximately what time of day that call came out?
Generally, we clean up the station in the morning, check the truck, do household stuff. And it was before lunch. I can't tell you exactly what time.
Okay. Mr. Freeman, if you could please describe what you observed as you approached 160 Pond Drive.
The call came in, I believe, as a structure fire. Me and another firefighter were on the back of the truck, which means we actually have the nozzle. We pull up to the front of the house or front of the apartment, and you could see the left side of the apartment. It had broken through. You could see flames. So as a firefighter, you're taught to go in the front and push the fire outside. So I had the nozzle. We went to the front door. I was putting my mask on, and I reached up and tried the door, and it was locked. And I believe the lieutenant on the truck is who actually kicked the door in. When he kicked the door in, I mean, it was almost like a training fire. You could see smoke had come down about head high, and we're taught to crawl. But that day, the smoke wasn't all the way down, so I could see a glow in the right side of the back of the room, which...
I'm going to stop you right there. So just to clarify a little bit, did you go in the front door of the house?
Yes, sir, we did.
And as you enter the front door, where in the house are you situated, if that makes sense?
When I go in the front door,
Yes, sir. Like just kind of generally
The
describe.
best I can, the best I can remember, because when we pulled up in the truck, you could see the fire in the left back of the house, and you could see the flames shooting through. So I had in my mind that when we went in, I was going to go to the left. Well, when we kicked the door in, you could see in the right back of the room, you could see red glowing.
And what did you do when you saw that red glowing?
We actually went to that area, which turned out to be the kitchen, which turned out to be all the eyes on the stove were on.
When you say eyes, what exactly do you mean?
You know, the old coral type electric stoves.
Okay.
They were all on and glowing red.
Did you notice anything about the knobs to the stove?
Did not have knobs on the stove.
Where were the knobs?
I can't, they were either on the counter. I don't think they were on the stove, but I think they were on the counter. They were taken off.
Did you yourself turn the stove off?
I believe I did. Yes, sir. I had to, I don't know if they were in the right place, but I put the knobs back on there and turned the stove off. And then, well, you go ahead.
Okay. What'd you do after you turned the stove off?
Lieutenant was over. He was walking across the room back towards what now we know is the bedroom. But he told me, said, open the back door to let some of the smoke out. So I had on my gloves. So I reached up to open the door and it was locked. So it was pretty warm in there. So I took my glove off and I opened the door. I believe it had a deadbolt and then a regular lock. So I opened the door and at that point, the lieutenant said, come over here. So I had the nozzle.
Okay. You had the nozzle. He said, come over here. Where did you go?
I went from the stove kitchen area across what was the living room to what we now know was her bedroom, and that door was closed also.
What happened next?
We tried to open the door, and it was locked. So the other firefighter that was with me, I think Doug actually kicked that door too. And, you know, I said, when he kicks the door, it's going to roll out, because I knew it was what we call rolling. It was.
When you say it's going to roll out, what are your?
The fire is going to roll out, because when we rolled up, we could see it burning through the roof. So I knew it was pretty intense. So when he kicked the door, I opened the nozzle, what we call Z'd it. I Z'd it down, knocked the fire down. And then they said, I hit it one more time just to kind of cool it down. And I had put my hand, we were just sitting there kind of watching it, make sure it didn't flare back up or flame up or whatever. And I always kept a big rubber band on my fire helmet, and I had a light stuck, up there in it. And I had my hand down on the floor, just kind of sitting there watching to see if it, it was smoke had banked all the way down in this room. And then I turned the light. When I turned my head, I looked down and I saw her at the foot of the bed. And
can you describe in detail what you saw?
There was a nude lady laying there, almost looked like, you could tell she'd been in extreme heat. And she was also like a mummy, like she didn't look real. Her hair looked like her hair was intact, but it was.
So I know you said that she's on the floor. Do you recall how she was positioned?
She was positioned with her feet towards the door. Best I remember, we go in the door. The bed was to the left, and then she was at the foot of the bed, and then looked like the flames or the fire was on the bed.
Do you recall how her body was oriented, up, down, otherwise?
She was face up.
Upon discovering the body, what did you do next, sir?
Like I said, you know, we were trained just to make sure it doesn't flame back up or anything. And so Steve and I were still in the room, on the floor. And the lieutenant, which was Doug, you know, he was standing at the door behind us. And he said, y'all don't touch anything, you know, just make sure it doesn't flame back up and back out. So that's basically what we did. We got it cooled down, and then we backed out.
And after backing out, did you, and when you say Doug, is that Doug Whitehead?
Yes, sir. He was a lieutenant on the seat that day. He was a supervisor, you might say.
And you mentioned Steve. Is that Steve?
Steve, yes, sir. He was a firefighter also. He and I were on the back of the truck. We had a driver of the truck. We had Doug was a supervisor, lieutenant, and then we had two firefighters, Steve Shellnut and myself, were on the back of the truck.
And after y'all backed out of the room, did you turn the scene over to the police?
Yeah, we called, I guess they called the chief and the assistant chief anyway. The shift commander was already there. So I guess they notified police, and, you know, it just kind of become chaos at that as everybody started showing up, and they wouldn't let us go anywhere. We had to stay there.
At any point, did you take notice of a screen to the back window in the house?
Yes, sir. When we got it cooled down, and I just really, I guess I was in shock. I just went to the back door because I had two small daughters. I went to the back door kind of trying to collect my thoughts and whatever. And there was a window to the left side of the door, and the screen, I can't say if it was laying in the yard or if it was leaned up against the house, but the screen had been tampered with. You could tell where it, like if you take a screwdriver and try to pop it out, you can tell where it had been bent. It had been tampered with.
Hang on just a moment, Your Honor. Mr. Freeman, those are all the questions I have for you.
Okay.
Cross-examination, Mr. Cruz.
Yes, ma'am. May I move the podium, please?
Of course.
Good afternoon, Firefighter Freeman. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Is it okay if I ask you a couple of questions?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned the back door to the home. I just want to make sure I'm clear on this point. When you opened the door, did you have to unlock the deadbolt and the bottom portion of the door?
With no glove on. Yes, sir.
Would it be fair to say that based on your examination of the home, the doors were locked and there was no evidence of forced entry?
That would be correct. No forced entry to the doors. Now, like I said, the screen on the window, it looked like it had been tampered with, but but no, there was no forced entry to the doors. No, sir.
Sure. Do you recall completing a interview with firefighter report from January 19th, 2001?
The report that I had to write.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Would you agree, and if you don't know, you can say you don't know and I can show you. Would you agree that you were asked a question 29 in that report, were the doors locked when the first units arrived? Do you remember that question?
I really don't even remember the report you were referring to. I had to write a handwritten statement of what happened that day. Usually the supervisors make out the fire report.
Yes, sir. I am going to show you what I am marking as Defense Exhibit 1. Yes, sir. Thank you. Is it okay if I approach you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir. Were the doors locked when the first unit arrived? Yes, they were. Was any force of entry? I put no.
Yes, sir. You mentioned the window. I know that it's been 25 years since you responded to this scene. Do you recall what that window looked like at the time that you saw it?
It was a, could have been like a white, seemed like it was a white aluminum frame or vinyl window. It was 2 panes, top and bottom. Like I said, it was to the left of the back door.
Would you recognize that window if you saw it again?
Possibly.
I'd like to show you what's being marked as Defense Exhibit 2 and Defense Exhibit 3. Thank you for your patience.
Yes, sir.
And to make sure I have this correct, this window was to the, if I'm facing the back door, it would be to the right. Is that correct?
Left.
If I'm facing, well, let me,
If you're coming in the front door,
okay, it's to the left. Is that
the
right?
window is to the window is to the left of the door that's on the right.
Excellent. I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit 2 and 3. Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize that image?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the window as you viewed it on the day you responded to 160 Fawn Drive?
Is this the way I found it? Is that what you're asking? I mean, it was just.
Correct. Well, do you recognize?
I can't honestly say. I remember, as you can look at this and tell, it looks like it's been tampered with or whatever, but I can't honestly say that the screen was outside, was not on the window. I mean, over 26 years, I had numerous calls, and I can't 100% say that screen was off. I'm pretty sure it was, but I can't sit here and say, I know it was tampered with because I remember seeing this.
Yes, sir. Did you make any notations in the report I provided you? I believe that was Defense Exhibit 1, if I'm not mistaken, about the window screen.
No, sir.
Would you have any reason to say that those images have been altered in any way?
No, sir.
I'd like to show you Defense Exhibit 4. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize Defense Exhibit 4?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you recognize Defense Exhibit 4 as the screen at 160 Fine Drive, well, the screen in the window at 160 Fine Drive, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is that a fair and accurate, Defense Exhibit 2 through 4, are those fair and accurate descriptions of?
Yes, that's, looking at this is where I got the idea that it had been tampered with.
Yes, sir. Your Honor, I would move to admit Defense Exhibit 2 through 4 into evidence.
Any objection? They are admitted.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
May I publish that?
May.
I want to thank you so much for your heroism. Those are my questions.
Any redirect by the state? May this witness be excused? Any objection?
No, ma'am.
You are free to go, sir. You may call your next witness.
Doug Whitehead?
Could you get Doug Whitehead, please?
Doug Whitehead. Sir, if you could raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm your testimony in the matter pending before the court should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? So help you God.
I do.
Can you state your name, please, and spell it for our court reporter?
Doug Whitehead, DougWhitehead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Whitehead. If you could please, sir, tell the jury what it is that you did for a living.
I was a firefighter, sergeant in Athens, Clark County Fire Department.
How long did you work for the Athens Clark County?
Almost 35 years.
When did you start and when did you stop?
Started January 1st, 1977, and stopped sometime in January of 2011.
Over the course of your career with Athens Clark County Fire Department, did you work in a number of different stations around town?
Oh, yes.
Specifically in January of 2001, do you recall where you were stationed back then?
Station 5 on Whit Davis Road.
Mr. Whitehead, on January the 19th of 2001, do you remember being dispatched to a house fire at 160 Fawn Drive?
Yes, I do.
Is that in Athens Clark County?
It is.
Just real quick, to get from Station 5 to Fawn Drive, how would you get there?
Well, we turn left out of the fire station, go to the intersection at Lexington Road, turn left. Believe it's the next road to the right is Cooper Road, and Fawn Drive would be off of that.
So when you turn onto Lexington from Whit Davis, are you turning left?
Turn left at the red light towards Athens.
Do you remember about what time of day that call came out?
11-ish, I believe.
Describe, if you can, sir, what you personally observed when you arrived at 160 Fawn Drive.
Smoke coming from the rear of the apartment.
And so what did you do next?
Told the guys on the back to pull an 1 3/4 attack line, and we proceeded to the front door of the building.
What did you observe when you got to the front door?
It was locked.
What happened next?
Kicked it in.
What did you observe once that front door had gotten kicked in?
Smoke in that room, in the right rear corner of that room. To the best of my knowledge or remembrance, it is like one big room, kitchen and living room, kind of combined. And in the right corner was a red glow.
And did you and the other firefighters go to investigate the source of that red glow?
We did.
What was it?
It was an electric stove with all 4 eyes on the top on high, and the knobs pulled off and placed on the countertop.
What did you do upon observing the stove being turned on with the eyes or with the knobs removed?
I didn't personally do it myself, but the knobs were put back on the stove and it was turned off.
Did you then turn your attention towards locating the source of the fire?
Yes.
Describe exactly what you did next, sir.
From the stove, we would kind of turn left, and there was a hallway, short hallway, a door at the end of that hallway, a door to the left, a door in front, and a door to the right. All 3 of those doors were locked. So we were pretty sure that the fire was in the room to the right, and it was locked, and we kicked that door in.
And what happened when you kicked the door in?
We found the fire, source of the fire, and we also found Miss Baker.
We'll get to that in a minute, but I want to talk about encountering the fire and what you and other
Our fire had broken through the roof, which means that it burned through the sheetrock, up into the attic, through the insulation, through the plywood, and the asphalt shingles on the top. So you could actually see daylight through that hole.
It's time to ask. Do you remember what the weather was like that day? If you don't, that's okay.
I don't really remember. It seems maybe cloudy, overcast, and maybe cold, but I couldn't tell you for sure.
And so, what do you specifically recall about the discovery of the body in the bedroom?
I remember seeing Tara or Miss Baker at the foot of the bed, and what I remember is like her hair was wet and a comb had been run through her hair.
How was she positioned, if you remember?
I believe she was laying on her back.
Mr. Whitehead, do you recall, in fighting the fire in the bedroom, what would be the result, or what was the result, if you remember, of actually having to extinguish the fire to the structure of the bedroom?
From what I remember, the fire was primarily up overhead, not that much fire. So we basically would just hit it, and just a couple of turns of the nozzle, it was extinguished.
And after doing that, were you able to view a potential source or origin of the fire?
Yes.
What was that?
An Afghan, well, what I consider an Afghan, like was crocheted. I'm not sure if that's crocheted, knitted, was placed onto that stove that was all 4 eyes were open, on high, ignited, carried to the bedroom and thrown on the bed. And remnants of that Afghan were on the stovetop in places where it dripped on the floor around to the bedroom.
And so what was the primary area of the fire in the bedroom, if that makes sense?
The bed, yeah.
You mentioned that you found the deceased Ms. Baker at the foot of the bed, lying on her back. Do you remember anything else about her condition when you first saw her?
Yes, and some type of electrical cord. Not really sure where that came from, but around her neck.
Once you and the other firefighters had gotten the fire under control, what did you do at that point?
We backed out to preserve evidence. Once we realized there was a Miss Baker was in the room, we backed out to try to preserve as much evidence as we could after making sure the fire was extinguished.
Mr. Whitehead, do you recall anything about the back window, the kitchen window to the house?
I think that the screen was taken out of the window and propped against the back of the house, but I cannot tell you that for 100%.
You say you think that. Is that your best recollection?
Yes, yes.
Overruled.
That's the last question I have.
All right.
Mr. Whitehead, I don't have any further questions for you, defense attorney.
All right.
Mr. Cruz.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon,
Good afternoon, sir.
Mr. Whitehead. My name is Attorney Ahmad Cruz, represent Mr. Faust. Is it okay if I ask you a couple of questions?
Absolutely.
In regards to the screen, would it have been the fire department's practice to find a screen outside the house and put it back in the window?
Would not have been our practice, no.
Okay, is that a practice that you're aware of with any agency that you've worked with?
Other than fire department, I wouldn't be
Sure.
sure about their practices.
Would it be fair to say that the front door was deadbolt locked when you
Yes,
found it?
yes.
And I believe you say this on direct. There was heavy smoke and flames coming out of the corner of the house. Is that right?
That's right.
Were those was the bedroom door locked? Do you recall?
Yes,
Okay. Was the bathroom door connected to that bedroom locked?
yes. And so was the door to the left.
You gained entry into that room by kicking those doors in. Is that correct?
That's right.
And just to make sure I'm clear, that's the front door you had to kick in, the bedroom door you had to kick in, and the bathroom door that you had.
That's correct.
Do you recall completing a firefighter Athens Clarke County Fire Department interview with firefighter report?
No, but I'm sure I did.
Yes, sir. Would you have any reason to disagree that you placed in your report that there was no evidence of forced entry?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Sure. Would you have any reason to disagree with the statement that in your report you put that there was no evidence of forced entry?
Before our arrival?
Correct.
Yes.
Those are all of my questions for you. Thank you.
Any redirect, Mr. Bolden?
Your Honor.
May this witness be excused?
I have no objection. Say your-
Any objection, Mr. Cruz?
Objection, Your Honor.
You're free to go, sir.
You to leave?
You are, sir.
Thank you.
You may call your next. You may.
So that's the end of day 1. So we're going to go to day 2.
All right, thank you, everyone. You may be seated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for being here on time. As instructed, we're ready to begin again with regard to the state of Georgia versus Edrick Lamont Faust, SU 24 CR 0547. Is the state ready to proceed?
Your Honor.
Is the defense ready to proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bolden, you may call your next witness.
Dr. Andrew Falzon.
Could you get Andrew Falzon, please?
Sorry, y'all. Having issues today. So next up is the medical examiner. Again, forewarning, trigger warning. This is not easy stuff to hear. So just take care of your mental health before anything, please. Yeah, so just take care of you before anything else, okay?
Sir, if you could raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm your testimony in the matter pending before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You can have a seat. Sir, if you could state and spell your name for the record, please.
Sure. My name is Andrew. Last name is Falzon. Falzon.
And sir, where are you currently employed?
I'm currently employed as a consultant pathologist with Mater Dei Hospital in Malta, Europe.
And what are your role, or what do you do as a consultant forensic pathologist there?
I oversee a pathology lab, one of the satellite labs on a separate island, and I also provide forensic services to the hospital.
Can you tell the jury a little bit about your prior employment before working at the hospital in Malta?
So I started as a associate medical examiner with the state of Georgia, with the GBI in Decatur, Georgia. That was from 1999 to 2001. After that, I was the assistant medical examiner for Middlesex County, New Jersey. And then when my chief retired, I became the chief medical examiner for the county. And I then took over the chief state medical examiner position for the state of New Jersey.
Throughout your career, has it been part of your job to conduct autopsies when
Sure.
requested by law enforcement or otherwise?
Yes.
Approximately, if you know, over the course of your career, how many autopsies have you performed?
Over 3,500 postmortem examinations.
Can you speak a little bit to your professional experience?
I graduated as a doctor of medicine and surgery from the University of Malta. I did a rotating internship there. I then started a master's degree program at the University of Mississippi Medical Center, and I graduated with a master's degree in anatomy in '92. I then enrolled in a pathology, anatomic and clinical pathology residency program at the University of Mississippi, and following that, I did a one-year fellowship in forensic pathology at the University of Alabama, Birmingham.
Have you also had an occasion to teach in the area of pathology and forensic pathology?
Yes, it did.
Can you speak just briefly to that, sir?
I usually, whichever locality I'm working at, I teach forensic pathology to various classes, usually undergrad classes.
Do you serve on any boards, sir?
As the chief state medical examiner, I served on the domestic violence fatality near fatality review board, and also the child fatality review board, both the state board and the suicide subcommittee. I still serve on the suicide subcommittee of the child fatality review board.
Again, briefly, do you have trainings and certifications in the area of forensic pathology?
Once I completed my training in pathology, I took the American Board of Pathology certifying exams. I am board certified in anatomic, clinical, and forensic pathology.
Have you spoken at conferences related to the area of forensic pathology?
I've presented at mainly at the National Association of Medical Examiners meeting, on any research that myself or the office was conducting.
And have you previously testified in court before as an expert in the area of forensic pathology?
Yes, I have.
Do you know how many times?
Over 100 times, mainly in the state of New Jersey, but also in the state of Georgia.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would tender Dr. Falzon as an expert in the area of forensic pathology.
All right, any objection by the defense, or would you like to voir dire the witness?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. This witness is declared an expert in the area of forensic pathology. You may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Falzon, I'd like to turn your attention back to January the 20th of 2001. Just to be clear, where were you working at that time, sir?
At that time, I was working with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation in Decatur, Georgia.
And on that date, did you have the occasion to perform an autopsy on the body of Tara Baker?
Yes, I did.
Can you describe briefly the condition in which the body was received?
The body was received enclosed in a black body bag, and the body, to my recollection, was that she was unclad, she didn't have any clothes on her, and it was extremely charred.
You take steps to ensure that the person you are performing the autopsy on matches the, I guess, submission from law enforcement, I guess?
Yes, I do.
Okay. At the time, do you recall, or would you have noted receiving any historical or case information related to the request for the autopsy?
Typically we would receive that. I haven't seen any copies of those recently, so I don't recall exactly.
Can you tell us briefly what an autopsy consists of?
An autopsy is a post-mortem examination, typically performed to establish the cause and manner of death. We would start by reviewing the history surrounding the case. Then we'd move on to the examination of the body. In certain cases, we would do x-rays prior to actually starting the examination. Then you describe the clothing, remove the clothing, collect any trace evidence if indicated, and then you start the external examination, the examination of the body from head to toe, front and back. Once that is documented and you look for any injuries, document those, take the necessary photographs. Then you move on to an internal examination whereby we do an incision across the chest and abdomen, remove the organs of the chest and the abdomen. We'll make an incision across the top of the scalp, remove the skull cap, examine the brain, and then finally we'd examine the neck organs. During the course of the autopsy, we'll also collect specimens for toxicology and DNA as indicated.
Do you also take photographs while the autopsy is being conducted?
Correct.
And is it common practice to reduce the findings of your autopsy in the form of a written report?
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Faust, I'm going to hand you what's marked as State's Exhibit 1. Do you recognize that, sir?
Yes, I do.
What is State's Exhibit 1?
It is a copy of the autopsy report drafted and signed by myself.
Is that the autopsy related to the case involving Para Baker?
Correct.
I move to tender State's 1 at this time, Your Honor.
Any objection, Mr. Cruz?
No, ma'am.
It is admitted.
Dr. Falzon, I'm going to go through your report kind of sequentially as it's outlined in State's Exhibit 1. Let's talk a little bit about the receipt of the body. I think I kind of just touched on this earlier, but if you could speak to what your report reflects as to how the body was received.
Correct. The body bag was, there were tags affixed to the body bag zipper that had the case information relevant to this case.
Can you speak generally to, you mentioned an external examination. We're going to try and take it in order. What was the first thing that you did with Ms. Baker as it relates to that external examination?
Photographs would have been taken, and then overall assessment of the body, the charring, the degree of rigor mortis, and the stiffening of the muscles that happened post-mortem, any lividity, the settling of blood in the dependent areas, general observations.
Let's talk a little bit about the injuries that you noted to Ms. Baker's body, starting with those on the head and neck, sir. Can you describe those in general?
The injuries on the head and neck were mainly in the form of blunt force injuries. When we describe injuries, there's three main categories: blunt force injuries that are caused by a blunt instrument, whether that be a fist, a piece of wood, a hammer. Those are all blunt force injuries. There's sharp force injuries that are caused by objects with a cutting edge. Could be a knife, could be a shard of glass. And then there's gunshot wounds. In the case of Ms. Baker, she had multiple blunt force injuries, mainly in the form of bruises around the eyes, the right and left sides of the head, and on the neck. She also had, on the neck, she also had a stab wound on the right lower front of the neck, and she had a ligature mark that surrounded the neck.
Okay. Specifically, as it relates to the stab wound, can you describe in a little bit more detail what you observed?
The stab wound, like I said, was on the right lower front. When I describe a stab wound, typically I will imagine the face of a clock overlying the wound. And in this case, the wound was oriented between the 10 o'clock and the 4 o'clock on the lower front of the neck.
Okay. You also mentioned a ligature mark encircling Ms. Baker's neck. Can you speak a little bit more to that, please?
Yes. The ligature mark completely encircled the neck. It had one mark on the back of the neck and two marks on the front, which indicated that the ligature had been wrapped around the neck, crossed over on the front, and the ligature held on the sides.
Did you note any other injuries to Ms. Baker's neck?
She had some blunt force injuries to the neck. I'm not sure if there's something specific here. If I may look at the report. She had contusions, bruises below on the left ear, below the left ear, and behind the left ear.
Moving, and we'll come back to that momentarily, Dr. Falzon. Did your external examination of Ms. Baker also include injuries to her torso?
It did, yes.
And again, I'm going to ask you to briefly summarize the extent of those injuries that you observed.
The injuries to the torso were mainly in the genital and anal area.
Can you go into a little bit more detail about those injuries, sir?
Again, they were in the form of blunt force injuries, bruising on the right side of her vulva down to the posterior aspect of the vulva, and she also had a bruise that completely encircled the anal region.
And lastly, Dr. Falzon, did you note any injuries to Ms. Baker's extremities?
Yes, I did.
And what were those?
Those were mainly in the form of sharp force injuries, injuries caused by a cutting instrument, and they were limited to the back of her hand, which could be classified as defensive type injuries, the injuries that a person would sustain trying to ward off an attack.
Did part of your internal examination of Ms. Baker include examination of the organs of the neck?
Yes, I did.
And particularly, what, if anything, did you observe in that part of the internal examination of Ms. Baker?
As part of the examination of the neck structures, we look at the bones and the cartilages that make up the neck. One of the bones that we have in the neck is called the hyoid bone. It's a C-shaped bone that sits above the larynx. With cases of strangulation, we often see fractures in the hyoid bone. In the case of Ms. Baker, there were fractures on both the right and left sides of the hyoid bone.
And based on your training and experience, sir, what, if any, significance did you attribute to your observation as it related to Ms. Baker's broken hyoid bone?
That was part of the strangulation process.
Dr. Falzon, you mentioned that as part of the autopsy, you do take photographs.
Correct.
Bear with me just a second, Dr. Falzon.
Meg?
Dr. Falzon, I'm going to show you what's been labeled. It's 2 through 7. We're going to finish labeling them, the rest of the photos here in just a moment. But if you take a look at, again, states 2 through 7. Do you recognize those, sir?
I do.
Are those states exhibits 2 through 7 fair and accurate representations of the autopsy that you described of Ms. Baker back on January 20th, 2001?
Yes, they are.
Good defender, states 2 through 7.
Any objection, Mr. Cruz?
No, ma'am.
They are admitted.
And again, I realize this is a little cumbersome.
You may.
This, Dr. Falzon, is states 8 through 14. Same question, take your time, see if you recognize those. And then one last group.
You may.
This is states 15 through 22. Last time. States, I believe, 8 through 22, are those also all true and accurate depictions of your observations of Ms. Baker's body as you observed her at the autopsy on January 20th, 2001?
They are.
The defender states 8 through, let me just start back, 22 through 22.
All right. Well, 2 through 7 have been admitted, so we're now on 8 through 22.
8 through 22.
All right. Mr. Cruz, any objection?
No, ma'am.
They are admitted. And how are you planning on doing that? Just handing them to them? Okay, so that's what I'm asking. So we've had a prior ruling. Thank you. So just for any red and black persons who may be here under Rule 22 with a photo opportunity that the court granted, the Rule 22 has been amended to prohibit the media from taking any photographs or videos, of course, of these particular photos that the state is going to introduce to the jury. So if you can turn, thank you for doing that. I saw you turn your camera off. If anyone is here from the red and black person under Rule 22, if you would please not photograph. Go ahead, Mr. Bolden.
And I think the court may have
That's
to
right.
switch. So Dr. Falzon, you should have a monitor down there to your right. Okay. Dr. Falzon, we're going to start with States Exhibit 2. What is State's Exhibit 2, sir?
It's a photograph of the body of Miss Baker as received, and it depicts the face, the torso from the chest down to the hip area, and the upper extremities.
State's Exhibit 3, same question.
This would depict the lower aspect of Miss Baker from the upper chest, including the lower extremities. And you can see the charring of the body in this photograph.
State's Exhibit 4. What do we see here, sir?
This is a photograph of the face of Miss Baker, showing a degree of charring and also the blunt force injuries that I alluded to prior, notably the bruising around the eyes.
State's Exhibit 5. Is that just a slightly different angle of her face?
Correct. It's a slightly closer up view of the face.
Same question as it relates to State's Exhibit 6.
Again, closer up view, focusing mainly on the right eye.
State's Exhibit 7.
This depicts the left side of the face, and there's again charring, and you can see there's a braided laceration, kind of like a U-shaped, inverted U-shaped lesion on the left side of the chin.
State's Exhibit 8.
Okay. This is a photograph depicting the left side of the face, neck, and the left shoulder, and you can see the ligature mark on the posterior aspect of the neck.
State's Exhibit 9. Is that just kind of a closer up photograph of what you just described?
Correct, and you can see the single linear mark that extends over the posterior neck, and you can also see the bruising behind the left ear.
This is State's Exhibit 10. What do we see here, Dr. Falzon?
It's a photograph of the neck aspect. You can see the ligature mark on the top, which is an electric cord, and you can see the plug aspect, the prongs on the left-hand side of the photograph.
And Dr. Falzon, I think you can actually, if it would be helpful, the screen in front of you, you can touch and circle things. Just to clarify what you just described as it relates to the ligature. And I think Your Honor might have to, Mr. Dickey explained that there's a, within, yes. All right. So you made some drawings on.
The U-shaped, I need to erase that. Okay. But so I'm marking here the cord, and that's the prong aspect and the plug attached to the cord there.
In this photograph, is the stab wound that you previously described also identifiable in this photograph?
That would be
right. Thank you, sir. State's Exhibit 11. What do we see here, sir?
Again, you see the cord here. Difficult to see because it's.
In the circle at the end, is that the
That's the end of the
plug? To the
plug, yeah.
It's Exhibit 12. What are we seeing here, Dr. Falzon?
It's the front of the neck. Again, there was extensive charring, and there was a lot of smeared, dried blood on the skin. But you can see the stab wound, and the stab wound had what we refer to as the blunt edge and the sharp edge. When you have a knife, obviously you have a cutting edge of the knife and the back, the non-cutting part of the blade, and they both leave kind of distinct characteristics. But this would be the blunt end there at the back. So you see the blunt end on the, I guess, on the right-hand side of the body, with the sharp edge more directed towards the middle of the body.
We'll come back to that later, Dr. Falzon, but I'm going to move on for now. This is State's Exhibit 13. Is that just a slightly different angle of the stab wound that you just described?
Correct.
State's Exhibit 14. particularly on Ms. Baker's left shoulder. Did you reach any conclusions about that area where there's no charring, sir? If that question makes sense?
Right. It looks like an area of what we call sparing. There's no soot and charring on that area, and most likely that was where the plug was resting, kind of like protecting the skin from the soot deposition.
State's Exhibit 15. That's just a slightly different picture of different angle of
Correct. Closer up view.
what we just described. Okay. Okay. These are where it gets even tougher. State's Exhibit 16, Dr. Falzon. What is this photograph?
That's a photograph depicting Ms. Baker's genital area. You can see the bruising. The above, this would be kind of like an area of charring, heat damage. So this is not part of the injury she sustained while she was alive. But you can also see the bruising around the introitus, the entryway to the vagina.
And we're going to follow up on that with State's Exhibit 17. Again, I apologize. State's Exhibit 17, what is this a photograph of, Dr. Falzon?
This is a slightly different angle of the anal-vaginal area. You can see bruising that completely surrounds the anus, which would be this area here. And then you see the bruising on the right-hand side and the posterior aspect of the introitus, the entrance into the vagina.
State's Exhibit 18, is that just a slightly different angle of the last photograph, sir?
Correct.
We're almost done. State's Exhibit 19, shifting gears. What are we looking at here, sir?
This is a photograph of the back of Ms. Baker's left hand.
State's Exhibit 20, is that just a slightly different viewpoint of that left hand?
Correct, and it's showing what we refer to as an incised wound. With sharp force injuries, you can have stab wounds where the knife is actually penetrates, the blade penetrates into the body, or you can have an incised wound where the cutting edge is dragged along the surface of the skin. This here is an incised wound that we see that area there.
State's Exhibit 21, again, are we just kind of looking at that same left hand, sir?
Correct, and you can also see there's another incised wound, another cut in the web space between the fourth and fifth finger. So that would be that area there.
And then finally, State's Exhibit 22, is that just a picture of the ligature that you previously described after it had been removed from Ms. Baker's body?
Correct.
Dr. Falzon, I want to first talk about the injuries that you described and the photos that we've seen in Ms. Baker's genital area. And you've described those and we've seen the photographs. Based on your training and experience coupled with your observations of that area of Ms. Baker's body, what, if any, significance can you attribute to the causation of those injuries?
Those would be caused by sexual intercourse with force used.
As it relates, and then I realize I'm jumping around a little bit, as it relates to your observations with regards to the ligature and Ms. Baker's, the fact that her hyoid bone had been broken, and again, based on your training and experience, what, if any, significance do you attribute to the causation of those injuries?
So the injuries on the neck that we saw from the cord and the fractures of the hyoid bone would be the result of strangulation, ligature strangulation.
And then Dr. Falzon, as it relates to your observations of the stab wound that you previously described on Ms. Baker's neck and the wounds, which I believe you previously referred to as defensive type wounds to her left hand, do you have, and again, based on your training and experience, do you have an opinion as to the mechanism by which those injuries may have occurred?
Those would be sharp force injuries inflicted by a knife. Just to expand on the stab wound, because we described the injury on the skin, but once the internal examination is performed, there was actually injury to the internal jugular vein on the right side, which is a main vein that drains blood from the right side of the brain, which would explain the amount of hemorrhage, the blood on Ms. Baker's skin. And that would have been caused by a knife.
Okay. And did you, were you able to form an opinion as to how that stab wound may have been inflicted?
Given the orientation, the location, and the orientation of the wound, as part of the assessment of the stab wound, I also try to ascertain the direction in which the stab wound was penetrated into the body. So in case of the stab wound that we saw on Ms. Baker's right neck, the knife entered through the skin and it went from front to back, downwards and to the left. In my experience, that has often been due to somebody being stabbed with the perpetrator standing behind the victim and forcing the knife into the body cavity like that.
And again, referring to your observations as to the incised wounds on Ms. Baker's left hand, what, if anything, do those wounds tell you about what you just referenced?
Those would indicate that Ms. Baker would have been in the process of trying to protect herself from the stabbing while it was being performed.
Would it be helpful to the jury to kind of demonstrate what you just described, sir?
Yes.
Well, Your Honor, is it okay if I ask Dr. Falzon to step down into the
It's fine.
Dr. Falzon, I'm going to hand you what is very clearly a rubber knife. And I'm going to be Ms. Baker. And so what you just described on the stand, sir, if you could kind of describe or show exactly what you just said.
So the entry wound would have been somewhere here. So with holding the knife like this, the blunt end would be at the 10 o'clock position and the short end would be at the 4 o'clock position.
And again, as it relates to the injuries to the hand, how would that, in your estimation, have occurred?
So if she was trying to hold on, that would explain the cut of the space between the fourth and the fifth finger. Again, the direction would be front to back, downwards and to the left.
Thank you. Yes. Second. Dr. Falzon, based on everything that we've talked about, question, I'm going to back up just a little bit. Did your autopsy of Ms. Baker reveal anything as it related to her larynx?
She did, yes, I did examine the larynx, the voice box where the vocal cords sit, and she did have a slight amount of soot present below the vocal cords.
And did you also, as part of this autopsy, request or refer Ms. Baker's blood be tested for the presence of carboxyhemoglobin?
Yes, I did.
And are you familiar with the results of that report?
Yes, I am.
And what was that?
I believe it was between 6 and 14%. I may have to jog my memory. I gave you back the report, but
now let's talk a little bit about carboxyhemoglobin.
Okay.
What is that?
Hemoglobin is a molecule that transports oxygen. It picks up oxygen in the lungs, takes it and deposits it in the periphery of the body, and it picks up carbon dioxide and releases that back in the lungs during respiration. Now, when as part of the fire, carbon monoxide is formed. So carbon dioxide is carbon with 2 oxygens. Carbon monoxide is carbon with 1 oxygen. Carbon monoxide tends to attach somewhat more strongly to the hemoglobin molecule, and it actually prevents hemoglobin from transporting oxygen. So when somebody is exposed to a fire, we test the blood for carboxyhemoglobin, which is essentially hemoglobin attached to a carbon monoxide molecule.
And so based on your observations of soot being deposited below Ms. Baker's voice box and the results of the carboxyhemoglobin test that you just described and testified to, is that significant in any way to you, in your opinion, doctor?
The level of carboxyhemoglobin was not high enough to be considered a cause of death. Typically, we expect carboxyhemoglobin to be more than 50%. People who smoke tend to have elevated carboxyhemoglobin levels. But in the case of Ms. Baker, the presence of the soot below the vocal cords and the slightly elevated carboxyhemoglobin level would indicate that she was still alive when the fire was set.
Thank you, Dr. Falzon. So again, just to summarize everything that you've testified to thus far, were you able to form an opinion as to the cause of death of Ms. Baker?
Yes, I did.
What was that opinion?
So she died of a ligature strangulation and a stab wound of the neck. I also described the bruising on the head, the blunt force trauma of the head. As part of the internal examination, I did examine the brain, and there was some subarachnoid hemorrhage on the surface of the brain. So the other contributory factor would be blunt force trauma of the head.
Did you rule the manner of death, Ms. Baker's death, a homicide?
Yes, I did.
Overruled.
Dr. Falzon, you mentioned that part of a autopsy may include taking an X-ray or radiograph if there is evidence of a stab wound. Did I understand that correctly?
Correct.
Why do you do that?
When somebody is stabbed, the
Sir.
Relevance. It's undisputed that Ms. Baker was stabbed.
All right, Mr. Bolden, do you care to respond to the objection?
Trying to allow Dr. Falzon to testify to everything that was done as part of Ms. Baker's autopsy.
I'm going to overrule the objection. You may continue.
Ask for the same courtesy during our examination.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cruz. What do you mean by that?
We just ask for the same courtesy that the Honorable State has received.
When there's an objection made, I will rule on it. Mr. Bolden, you may continue.
Do you also obtain a sample of Ms. Baker's blood?
yes, I do.
What is the purpose of that?
That would be performed to collect the specimens to submit for testing for toxicology.
And is a blood spot filter card also submitted?
Yes.
And
All right, I'm going to sustain that objection, Mr. Bolden, if you'll rephrase.
I will rephrase it, Your Honor. What other physical evidence is, I guess, obtained or submitted as part of an autopsy?
To establish a reference point for DNA testing, a blood spot filter card is prepared whereby we take a filter paper card and we put drops of the victim's blood that is air dried and then submitted for analysis.
Was a sexual assault kit obtained in this case?
Yes, it was.
Can you explain briefly what we mean by sexual assault kit?
A sexual assault kit has various components to it which help in collecting evidence in cases where sexual assault is suspected. It would have swabs to collect DNA. It would have slides whereby we smear the swabs and prepare smears to look at under a microscope. It would have nail clippers to clip nails and envelopes, put those nail clippings in. And it would also have envelopes for head samples of head hair, pubic hair, and pubic hair combings.
And I apologize if you mentioned this already, but when you're talking about swabs, from where on Ms. Baker's body were those swabs obtained?
Swabs are taken from the mouth, oral swabs, from the vagina, and from the anus.
And again, I apologize if I just misheard. You mentioned smears as well. How are those smears created?
The smears are created from the swabs. So we put a Q-tip with cotton tip end, and that would be inserted in the cavity, the oral cavity, the vagina, the anus. Once fluid is absorbed onto the cotton tip, while it is still wet, we would take the glass slide and smear the tip of the Q-tip on that slide to prepare the smear.
Your Honor, we have a motion.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask that you go into the jury room. Don't discuss the case. This is a good time for a bathroom break. We will be with you shortly. Y'all may be seated. Thank you. Mr. Cruz, your motion, sir?
I want to do the simple thing first. We have an objection to the known pubic hair of a victim. Exhibit 31 is empty. So that's empty.
Your objection is to Exhibit 31.
Right, but I do
Okay.
have a motion.
No, but I want to hear your objection, and then you can make your other motion. Go ahead.
I'm looking for showing this to Dr. Falzone. This for purposes of identifying ever here. So we object to the state giving Dr. Falzone back in Exhibit 31.
Okay.
All the other items from the one that we observed inside, they had items. They had items that we don't object to. Do we have a motion?
All right, well, let Mr. Bolden respond to your objection on Exhibit 31. Go ahead, sir.
Your Honor, I mean, I can show Dr. Falzone, we can open it. I mean, I guess the objection's the fact that it's empty somehow, that makes it inadmissible. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know that I know how to respond to that particular objection.
I can make it clear for this confusion. The pubic hair, relevant for his testimony, an empty bag that just says pubic hair is irrelevant in this case. That's what we're objecting to. Well, that we are objecting to.
All right, Mr. Bolden, do you care to respond to the objection about relevancy?
Again, I think the fact that Dr. Falzone has testified that pubic hair is taken, why do we let him look at it? Because Mr. Cruz is assertion that's empty. I honestly had not opened the bag, so let's allow him to do it. We can do that momentarily. I'd like to hear the motion. Sure.
All right, that's fine. We'll hold off on Exhibit 31's objection. Go ahead, sir.
We're moving to suppress the oral swabs due to chain of custody. In this case, it has been stated that oral swabs, vaginal swabs, and anal swabs were taken. We have the chain of custody report. The chain of custody report says that only 2 oral swabs were taken. I assumed that that was pretty much an error on the chain of on the custodian because Ms. Bigham, 2024, conducted a test on these swabs, and it was determined. They went to a company in California to do this test. That's something we'll address on cross-examination instead of using a company here in Georgia. But that company came back and said, you know what? We did this presumptive test. These are actually vaginal swabs. However, now that I'm seeing the original packaging that Dr. Falzone put these items in, and please correct me if I'm mistaken, a vaginal swab wasn't taken. Ma'am? Alex, show the report, State's Exhibit 28. State's Exhibit 29.
I don't know that any see the exhibits at this moment. I want to hear your objection about, you're asking the court to suppress it.
I would ask the court to suppress the, I'm asking for 2 things.
Okay.
Either I'm asking the court to suppress, I believe it's oral swab E. Let me confirm which swab it is, Your Honor. Court's indulgence. All right, so one of these are labeled as item 2I. Or give me a second to identify item 2I. So for purposes of the record, oral swabbing B is labeled as item 2I, as in igloo. Oral swabbing A is labeled as item 2J, as in joy. So Your Honor, on November 4th, 2024, and mind you, this wasn't a discovery, by the way. November 4th, 2024, Pure Gold Forensics.
Okay, hang on just a minute, Mr. Cruz. Let me ask you this question. Are you making a motion to suppress?
I am. But this is based on knowledge I just learned just now going over these exhibits. So this isn't a motion that was untimely because I knew about it 10 days from when I just learned this.
All right, let me stop right there just for a moment. Is there any response to the motion to suppress as opposed to a motion in limine or an objection based on something else? Go ahead.
Yes, I would object to this. Characterized as a motion to suppress. Mr. Cruz, we've had hearings going back for months. We've discussed making any physical evidence available to him to inspect, and we would have done so at any time. He never asked. He asked in court, but never followed up with that. This evidence we would have gladly shared with Mr. Cruz at any point had he actually asked, but he did not. I don't think what he's asking for this morning, well, again, I don't know a motion to suppress at this point. I don't know what legal grounds he's asking to be suppressed. He mentioned chain of custody. I think that argument is more of a weight versus admissibility issue. It's very hard to respond when I don't understand exactly what is being asked for.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cruz, let me ask you this question. With regard to this motion you're making now, is it, as you stated earlier, about the issue of the chain of custody?
Correct.
All right. I'm making a ruling right now that that is not a motion to suppress issue. You are entitled to cross-examine this witness or any witnesses with regard to the chain of custody, and I'm not going to allow it.
Judge,
If you have an objection to something else about the admission of this evidence, I will hear it.
Judge, motion to suppress, motion to limit, the phrase is irrelevant.
No, it is not, Mr. Cruz.
Well, the state, when the chain of custody issue was raised, the state has the burden to show that that this evidence is the same evidence that was collected and that it wasn't tampered with. The issue we have is that both of these items, from Dr. Falzone to Dr. Falzone, both of these items were collected by him and labeled by him. There's going to be testimony in this trial 24 years later that, oh, actually, one of these is a vaginal swab. Dr. Falzone, as you heard from his testimony, is very careful, he's very diligent. It sounds like he takes his time and does his work the right way. So we're moving for the state to show chain of custody for these items. They're burden to show chain of custody for these items that they were not tampered with. But we asked on the court to exclude any mention that oral swabbing B is a vaginal swab, because from what I'm seeing for the first time today in court, it is not.
All right, Mr. Cruz, I'm going to overrule your objection, and I'm going to deny your motion, and I'm going to make the statement that the complaint that you're making in the form of an objection and the request to make a motion is certainly appropriately addressed by cross-examination. You have every right to cross-examine any witness with regard to chain of custody, with regard to the issues of tampering, anything that is relevant to the evidence that's being offered. You have every right to cross-examine with regard to those issues. And so that's the reason I'm denying your objection. And if there are any other objections to the admission of that evidence, I want to hear it now. I want to address one more thing before we bring the jury back. Any other objections to the admission of that? I mean, I haven't ruled that admissible yet. We haven't made there hasn't been a proffer, but if you have something that you'd like to object to now that you know about, so you can do that.
We will stand by our chain of custody motion.
All right, thank you. I do want to make a comment, Mr. Cruz, and this is really for all parties, but it's related to the comment that you made a little bit earlier. You did not make an objection, but you stated something to the effect of, we're asking the court to extend us the same courtesy. My comment to all parties, but particularly to you with regard to that comment, is this. That comment about the court's behavior is not appropriate in the manner in which you said it. The court makes rulings of law, not courtesies. The court extended, Mr. Cruz, you a courtesy this morning when you were 20 minutes late. I knew why you were late, and I extended you that courtesy. That's a courtesy. But in terms of this trial and in terms of making comments in front of the jury, the only appropriate comments to be made are not comments. They are objections. They are proper examination questions, cross-examination questions, things of that nature. And the court will respond to proper objections. Any comment on the courtesies of the court or fairness or things of that nature that are not in the form of objections need to be made outside the presence of the jury. And that's my statement.
Yes,
thank you. Anything else before we bring the jury back in?
If we could have just maybe a minute for us to take a restroom break.
All right, why don't we be off the record until 11:15? That's about 12 minutes. All right, we'll be in recess until then. Thank you.
I don't know if you can go up, try it.
It's 1 a.m. I'm on my own. You hit my phone. You up, I wrote. Yes, you say, can I come through? I say, yeah, come on. Then you hit me back. Yeah. Can't gotta be up early. So why you let my scream? Why you got me dressed in a dream? Why you put me close in the blue? Then leave me hanging with you. Then why ask? Why ask? Then why ask? If you can't stay, then why ask? Why ask? Then why ask? Just fade away. I had the door unlocked, I kept the room low lit, hair up, no plans, that finished trip. I was ready, you were not. That's the whole damn thing, that's the shot. Then why ask? Then why ask? If you can't stay, then why ask? Then why ask? Then why ask? Just fade away.
Shooting off my telephone, going over here, and then wraps around, goes right in there.
I'm always normal when I say we still got to figure out what the hell to do.
Okay. Let's get back to testimony.
That's
Thank you, Your Honor. Excuse me, Dr. Falzon. I think we were talking about the collection of the sexual assault kit. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. I am going to, if I may approach the witness, Your Honor. I think, Dr. Falzon, this is State's Exhibits 23 through 33. Is that right? Dr. Falzon, let's start with State's Exhibit 23.
Yes.
What is that, sir?
It's a clear plastic box with a label marked with the case information, and it's marked fingernails left hand.
And would that be the fingernail clippings that you took from Ms. Baker's body on January the 20th, 2001?
Correct.
Move to tender State's 23, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No, ma'am.
It is admitted.
State's Exhibit 24, Doctor, what is that?
It's a clear plastic bag sealed with evidence tape. There's two clear plastic boxes, each one with a label with the case information. One is marked toenails right, and the other one toenails left.
Again, same question as before. Are those related to the autopsy that you've been describing this morning?
Correct.
How do you know that, sir?
Each one has a label on them with the decedent's name, Clark County, the age, race, and sex, and the unique case identifying number assigned to this case.
Move to tender State's 24, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No, ma'am. I won't have any objections to any of those outside of the objection already put on the record.
All right, thank you. Number 24 is admitted, and you may proceed, Mr. Bolden.
State's 25, Dr. Falzon, what is that?
25, it's a white paper envelope sealed with evidence tape, and the label with the case information. And this one is marked oral swabbings B.
And again, same question. Is that related to the autopsy that you performed on Ms. Baker on January 20th, 2001?
It is.
Move to tender State's 25, Your Honor.
Right, and based on Mr. Cruz's assertion, is that right, sir, that there's no objection?
Outside of my prior objection.
Then it is admitted. Thank you. And that's number 26?
25.
25. All right, 25. Thank you. Go ahead.
State's Exhibit 26. What is that, Doctor?
Same white envelope with evidence tape and the unique case identification information. And this one is marked oral swabbings A.
Move to tender State's 20. No, I've forgotten. 26, Your Honor.
26. Mr. Cruz, any objection, sir? All right, it is admitted.
State's Exhibit 27, Dr. Falzon. What is that?
White envelope, red evidence tape, label with the unique case information, and this one is marked rectal swabbings.
Tender States 27.
Mr. Cruz, any objection, sir?
No, ma'am.
It is admitted.
States 28. What is that, Dr. Falzon?
State Exhibit 28 is a brown cardboard folder, has a label marked with unique case identification information, and this one is labeled anal rectal swab.
Move to tender State 28.
Any objection, sir?
No, ma'am.
It is admitted.
States 29, Dr. Falzon. What is that?
29, again, is a cardboard folder with the unique identification label, and this is marked auto swab.
Move to tender states 29.
Any objection, Mr. Cruz?
No, ma'am.
It is admitted.
That was 29, yes.
29, is that right, Dr.
Yeah.
Nelson? Okay, good. States 30, what is that?
30 is a white cardboard box, again, marked with the label with the unique case information. And this one is marked vaginal smear.
Move to tender states 30.
Any objection, Mr. Cruz?
No, ma'am.
It is admitted.
States 31, what is that, doctor?
A clear plastic envelope with the label with the case information, and this one is marked known pubic hair of victim.
Move to tender states 31.
Any objection, Mr. Cruz?
Yes, ma'am. The same objection I put on the record.
All right, and thank you. Any further comment by the state? All right, I'm going to overrule your objection. Your objection is noted. It is admitted over objection.
States 33, Dr. Falzon, what is that?
33 is a clear plastic envelope marked with the case information, and this is the pubic combings of victim.
Move to tender states 33, Your Honor.
Mr. Cruz, any objection?
She is having a family day. That's why Maelyn's not here. But hi, Jeannie. Good to see you. Thank you for coming. We are listening to the... yes, hit that like button. We are listening to the medical examiner testimony. It's very dry. But what else is new? And I keep forgetting to speed it up because I don't. Oh, it is sped up. Oh goodness. Okay, back to this.
No, ma'am.
It is admitted.
Is that everything that I handed you?
Did we do 32?
Oh, 32? Did I skip that? I apologize. States 32, I got ahead of myself. What is states 32?
Clear plastic bag marked with case information, and this is marked known head hair of victim.
Move to tender states 32, Your Honor.
Any objection, Mr. Cruz?
No, ma'am.
It is admitted.
I'm going to not go through all of those pieces of evidence, Dr. Falzon, but I want to start. This is states 30. There's the sticker. I think I can zoom in. States 30. Again, what is that, sir?
This is a cardboard folder and marked with the case information, and this would contain the glass slides with the smears of the vaginal taken by the vaginal swab.
How would or was States Exhibit 30 created?
The first we do the swab. So, like I mentioned, you have the Q-tip swab that we insert into the orifice, in this case the vagina, to collect the fluids on the swab. Once that is removed, we take the glass slide and we rub the cotton tip across the glass slide to transfer cells from the Q-tip onto the slide, and thus creating a smear.
Thank you, sir. Then this is 28. Again, I'm just going to show you the back. That's the sticker, then I'm going to flip it over. What is states 28?
That again would be the anorectal swab. Actually, this would be a glass slide, so that would be the smear.
And would that have been created in the same manner that you just described for the vaginal swab, smears?
Correct. So the swab would be inserted into the anorectal orifice, collect the fluid from that area, and then transfer it onto the smear, onto the glass slides.
Last, same question for states 29. I'm just showing the sticker there. What is states 29, just to be clear?
That would be the oral swab. Again, this would be the smear made from the oral swab.
So let's talk a little bit about the swabs. I'm going to start with states 25, which has been admitted into evidence. States 25, what is that?
It's marked auto swabbings B.
And then just for clarification, states 26. What are we looking at there?
This is marked oral swabbings A.
Dr. Falzon, I realize it's been a long time since I guess let me ask the question this way. Would you have collected 2 different sets of oral swabs back in 2001?
No.
What, if anything, can you attribute to the fact that 2 of those are labeled oral swabs and there is not one labeled vaginal swabs?
The swabs are collected during the course of the autopsy. As indicated in the report, I collected oral, anal, and vaginal swabs. Once the swabs are collected, as soon as they are removed, we take the swab tip and create a smear. So the swab is prepared, the smear is prepared, the smear is packaged. Because the swab is moist, if it is packaged right away, because of the moisture, mold grows on the tips of the cotton tips of the swabs. So the swabs have to be air dried prior to packaging. Every autopsy, the doctor has an assistant to help with the case. So the swabs would be placed in a small cabinet marked with the name, and it would be marked oral, anal, and vaginal. And the technician would package those swabs once they have air dried and package and label those.
Was that a common policy and procedure at the crime lab back in 2001?
It was.
Bear with me, Dr. Falzon. I did want to go back and ask a few more questions about the fact that Ms. Baker had a broken hyoid bone, and you described what that bone is. Can you talk just a little bit more about the hyoid bone in general in a young person like Ms. Baker?
The hyoid bone, like I said, is a C-shaped bone that sits just above the voice box. Initially, the bone is a little bit pliable. Young people have softer bones. As we grow older, that bone starts to get more calcified and become more brittle. So in younger people, you're less likely to see fractures of the hyoid bone as opposed to older people. But again, in this case, there were fractures both on the right and the left-hand side of the hyoid bone.
And based on that observation and your knowledge of that part of the human anatomy, do you have an opinion as to the amount of force that would have been necessary to break that bone?
It was a significant amount of force.
And to follow up on that a little bit more, Dr. Falzon, you've described the ligature previously and the ligature marks on Ms. Baker. Now, with the hyoid bone as well, do you have an opinion as to, and again, taking into account all of your observations from Ms. Baker's autopsy, do you have an opinion as to the manner in which that strangulation with the ligature occurred?
Like I said earlier, the ligature encircled the entire neck. So it passed from behind, looped in the front, and then the ends of the ligature held on each side.
And anything about the existence of those defensive wounds on Ms. Baker's left hand that we previously described, is that significant in any way as to your findings related to the ligature?
I would say to the ligature. It's more in relationship to the
stack. I understand. Dr. Falzon, those are all the questions I have for now. Mr. Cruz will have some questions, sir.
Mr. Cruz, cross-examination.
Thank you. May I move the podium, please?
Right, absolutely.
Thank you. Good morning, Dr. Falzon.
Morning.
My name is Attorney Ahmad Cruz. I have the privilege and honor of representing Mr. Edrick Faust. Do you recall you and I speaking previously? Okay. Would you agree with the statement that Ms. Baker had a height of approximately 69 inches and weighed 113 pounds?
Correct.
Is it fair to state that Ms. Baker's earlobes were each pierced with a stud-type earring with a clear stone in each earlobe?
Correct.
Is it fair to say that Ms. Baker had blunt force trauma to the head?
Correct.
And you previously admitted that you took photographs of Ms. Baker's condition. Is that fair?
Correct.
I'd like to show you what would be marked as Defense Exhibit 5. May I approach?
Your Honor, I would ask that Mr. Cruz show me the exhibit recording.
That's correct.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Okay.
Is that photograph a fair and accurate depiction of Ms. Baker as you saw her?
Yes, it is.
Does that photograph, does that photograph appear to be altered in any way?
Not to my recollection. I can't say that I think it's an altered, no.
That's fair. Are those injuries consistent with the injuries that you witnessed on Ms. Baker?
They are.
Your Honor, I would move to admit Defense Exhibit 5 into evidence.
No, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
May I approach Dr. Falzon? Dr. Falzon, you stated in your autopsy report that contusions also surround the anal region. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you identified the contusion as a 4.5 by 7 centimeter contusion that surrounds the anus. Is that accurate?
Correct.
I'd like to show you what would be marked as Defense Exhibit 6. Let the record reflect that I am showing the state what has been marked as Defense Exhibit 6. May I approach the witness, Your Honor? Let the record reflect that I provided Dr. Falzon with Defense Exhibit 6. Dr. Falzon, do you recognize those photographs?
Yes, I do.
Is it fair to describe that there are 2 photographs of Ms. Baker's anus and 1 photograph of Ms. Baker's upper body, chest to head?
Correct.
Would you agree that the contusions that surround the anus support that Ms. Baker was sexually assaulted anally?
Yes.
May I approach? Okay. Oh, here. Your Honor, I move to admit Defense Exhibit 6 into evidence.
No, Your
Your Honor.
It is admitted.
And I'll have to publish Exhibit 6. Just to make sure we're clear, these are photos of her anus and her upper body. Is that right?
Correct.
The state spoke with you about the packaging on state's exhibit. May I see those exhibits? Are those exhibits? On state's exhibit 25 and state's exhibit 26. And may I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Okay.
Just to refresh you on what those are. And you recognize these from direct examination, correct?
Correct.
You stated that the way that these are packaged, and please stop me at any time if I say it wrong, I just want to confirm that I heard you correctly, that you get a vaginal swab, you then make a smear out of it, but because mold may get on the swab if you leave it out, mold may get on the swab because it's wet, you leave it out to air dry. And then a technician would package it up later. Is that correct? Did I understand correctly?
Correct.
Okay. The question I have for you, does no one check the technician when he labels or she labels the items to ensure accuracy?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. So, Dr. Falzon, is it possible? I'll ask you this way. If no one checks, how do we ensure what's in either package?
It should have O, A, and V in front of each and every swab, the respective swab.
If it's checked?
Obviously, it wasn't done correctly in this case.
Correct. Are you aware that it is extremely important to collect and store swabs a certain way if DNA is involved?
Correct.
Okay. And is it fair to say that if it's done incorrectly, it could affect the results of any subsequent DNA testing of those items?
Absolutely.
Okay. In regards to the way that the swabbing takes place, for oral swabs, if you remember, did you do swabbing of the lips, the cheeks together, or is that something you would do individually?
It would be done individually. So we would put the swabs in the space between the cheek and the teeth and then insert it into the mouth, into the oral cavity.
So one swab would start with teeth. Say that again one more time.
In the space between the cheek and the teeth and then insert it into the oral cavity itself.
Okay, but we don't do the area in front of the teeth and the lip.
No.
Okay, so teeth and cheek and oral cavity, I'm assuming is just
inside the mouth.
Excellent. Thank you. In regards to the stabbing, I believe the state. Raise your knife. I believe the state asked you to do a demonstration of your opinion of the way the stabbing took place.
Correct.
Is that the only way Ms. Baker's stabbing could have occurred?
Given the direction of the wound, that is the most plausible explanation for that. I don't know if you had any other explanations that I could assess as to whether they're plausible or not.
Well, I may have one,
Okay.
but the question that I'm asking now is the demonstration that that was performed on direct, is that the only way that the stabbing could have happened?
I mean, there could be other ways. I mean, if you had a left-handed individual,
So I'm left-handed, face to face, and if I was to do it this way, we would get the same result?
Essentially, yes.
Right. Court's indulgence, Your Honor. Just confirm, the next exhibit, would that be Defense Exhibit 7? Okay, thank you. Dr. Falzone, I'd like to show you Defense Exhibit 7 and Defense Exhibit 8. May I approach the witness, Your Honor? And let the record reflect that I'm showing Dr. Falzone what has been marked as Defense Exhibit 7 and Defense Exhibit 8. Dr. Falzone, do you recognize Defense Exhibit 7 and Defense Exhibit 8 as additional photographs of Ms. Baker's anus?
Yes.
Are those fair and accurate depictions of Ms. Baker's anus as you remember?
Yes, but it also has the vulva with the burn injuries that I mentioned earlier on the direct.
Can I approach it?
The burn across the upper.
Where's the vulva?
That would be here.
What is this here?
That would be the anal region down there.
Yeah, publish these photos.
Well, you need to tender them. That's right. Any objection about exhibit 7 or 8? They are admitted and you may publish, Mr. Cruz.
Well, that would be the vulva again, different orientation. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. If media would just turn their cameras off, we're going to post these pictures. Thank you. We're going to continue on as scheduled. So the document camera is on, Mr. Cruz. You may use it.
Okay.
Correct, Jeannie. However, there's a lot of stuff that Judge Lott did not let in. Like I said yesterday, she kind of like told Kanoni, hold my moonshine, is the way I like to put it. And also, like the vaginal swabs were mixed up and labeled as oral swabs. There's a lot of funky stuff that went down with this case. And also, there's a lot of stuff pointing to Chris, her boyfriend. And, you know, when that testimony happens, which I believe is soon, it's either in day 2 or day 3. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff that went on in this case, like with evidence collection, not necessarily the collection, but the like with the swabs, there was a lot of mislabeling And so, and there's also the junk science as well, which is the true allele. Because from my understanding from watching it with Melanie the first time around, they no other court in the country has allowed that in. So there's a lot of stuff. And also the witnesses that said they saw someone that morning, excuse me, it was basically walking while black is what basically it ended up being. And they don't have anything definitively pointing to Edrick Faust other than his DNA. Yes, his DNA was in her body. However, with all the mix-ups in the lab, like, how do we know that it was actually him and that they didn't, pardon my French, but they didn't fuck up the, like, they put his swabs in with her swabs. You know what I mean? Who demanded investigation? So there was an act passed in Georgia by the Georgia State Legislature called the Coleman-Baker Act, and it allows the GBI and the police to go back and look at old, like, cold cases. And so the baker of that act is Tara Baker, is the victim in this trial. And I think they were, I can't help it, but all I can say really is, if you haven't watched this case already, like, it sounds like you may have, but if you haven't, I would just wait and, like, watch the whole thing, because especially Chris is what I'm getting at, especially Chris's testimony, because at one point, and it's really hard to hear because he mumbles it, but at one point, Attorney Cruz asks him, why didn't you want to go into the house? Because they told him, to go into the house so that they could, initially they said they were going to have him come into the house so that he could identify the body. And he says, I didn't want to go in there because I didn't want to see the damage that I had caused, or something like that. Right. And I get that. But at the same time, she wouldn't let in, because there was a witness that the defense had that may have seen her at a Mexican restaurant that night, and Edrick was there or in the area. So, and also, yeah. Also, it almost seemed like, from, again, evidence to come, or testimony to come, I should say, that she and Chris were on the outs. And also, if you watch the Dateline episode, apparently there was a maintenance guy that they never looked into. But the main thing also is her house was locked from the inside. Yeah. The house was locked from the inside. Like, the deadbolts were locked. How would somebody who's a stranger, or why, I should say, even, would a stranger, one, lock the deadbolts? How would you do that without a key? And her keys weren't missing. Two, clean up the crime scene. Like there's evidence of somebody cleaning up after it happened. Again, still more to come. And 3, Chris Melton's hands within days, like Colin Albert kind of like wounds, like knuckles dragging on the sidewalk. But he said, I'm not even going to tell you what he said. Still to come is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, there's a lot more. We're still very early into this trial. So yeah, just keep watching. Yeah, exactly. And somebody who had a key, because the window that they're talking about that had a screen either missing or removed, on the other side of that window there was a chair there and the blinds were not disrupted. So yeah, so just keep watching is all I will say. So let's get back to this.
This one, Defense Exhibit 7. It's over there, Your Honor.
Is it already on the screen?
No, ma'am. I'd like to use my laptop.
I see. I'm sorry. I had the wrong one on. I thought you were going to use the. I thought you were using that machine. Hang on just a minute.
Dr. Falzone, I'd like to direct your attention to the screen, okay? I believe when you were on direct examination with the state, and can you look over here, Doctor, just so I can point to it for you? You, just resolution nails. Just make it just a tad bit smaller. A little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. A little bit more. All right, right there. You mentioned that this area was her vagina. Is that right?
Her the vulva.
Okay. And you said this area here is her
Anus. And this would be above her pubic area where the purple area is. That's a post-mortem burn artifact.
Okay, so the question I have for you, and I may need to use another exhibit if you don't see it, is it possible that she would have pubic hair around her anus, but no hair around her vagina? Okay. I have no other questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Hi, any redirect, Mr. Bolden?
Briefly, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Dr. Falzon, I think in connection with Defense Exhibit 6.
Thank you.
When you were asked questions about Defense Exhibit 6, I believe you were asked a question as something to the effect of, with the injuries to Ms. Baker's anus being consistent with sexual assault.
Correct.
You recall that question? And just to be clear, would that also apply to the injuries that you observed to her vagina?
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. Would the injuries that you observed to her vagina also be consistent with sexual assault?
Correct.
And as it relates to either of those, does the sexual assault necessarily indicate that there's going to be the presence of any physical evidence recovered on that sexual assault kit?
Not necessarily.
What could be some reasons why that might be, sir?
I mean, one would expect to find DNA related to semen, but there may not be semen present there. I mean, the individual may not have ejaculated, a condom may have been used, a foreign object may have been used. So there's multiple explanations as to why DNA may not be recovered.
And are you familiar with the idea of, or the phenomenon of drainage, sir?
Fluids travel by gravity. So yeah.
That's all I was asking. Thank you. And then also on cross-examination.
I'm sorry. Every time I hear that damn word, it pisses me off so bad. Oh. By saying that there was drainage, they're basically saying, even though the firefighter said that when he saw her, or one of the firefighters said, when he saw her, her hair was wet, and he remembers to this day, or when he testified anyway, the smell of her shampoo, which means she had just showered. Okay. They're saying that there was drainage from 5 days. According to Chris Melton, his change story, mind you, and this I will say because it was already said in openings. Initially, he said 10 days. And then the detective lady from the GBI was like, oh no, we have to explain your DNA, how it's there somehow. And so he said, oh, we had, schmecks the Sunday prior. So Sunday to Friday, they're saying, he's saying, and they're implying that Tara did not take a shower. That is what they're saying. And that is why they're saying that Chris Melton's DNA was in her butt. That shit pisses me off. Because it makes Tara look a dirty, one, so it's degrading to her. And two, it's an excuse for Chris. I'm sorry. That's all it is. And it drives me absolutely insane. But yeah, so rant over. Back to this.
You were asked if the labeling of the items, the question that I heard was that if the labeling affects the results of the DNA testing. My question to you, sir, is could the fact, let me think of the best way to ask this. Does the labeling itself, what is marked on a certain exhibit, have anything to do with the results of any testing of what is inside?
It would impact the interpretation of it.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have.
Any requests, Mr. Cruz?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Just thing with Defense Exhibit 6. May I publish Defense Exhibit 6 to the jury, Your Honor?
Yes. How did you want to do that? On your computer?
No, I was just going to hand them.
That's fine.
May I approach you, Dr. Falzon? Thank you. And for the record, Your Honor, Defense Exhibit 6 was identified as Ms. Baker's anus and the upper area of her body. But otherwise, Your Honor, I thank you. I have no other questions for Dr. Falzon. Thank you so much for your service, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Cruz. Mr. Bolden, any other questions of this witness? May this witness be excused. Any objection from the defense?
No objection, Your Honor.
You are free to go, sir. You may call your next witness.
State calls Katie Lonstein.
Could you get Katie Longstein? Thank you.
Safe travels.
Ma'am, if you would please raise your right hand and take an oath. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give to the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. If you would, please speak towards the microphone, and if you would state and spell your name for the record.
Yes, my full name is Catherine Lonstein, Katherne, Lahnstein, but everybody calls me Katie.
All right. Ms. Lonstein, what professional field are you involved in?
I'm an attorney
Okay. And where did you attend law school?
here at the University of Georgia,
And what years did you attend school at the University of Georgia?
2000 to 2003.
Before you got to UGA, where did you complete your undergraduate degree?
At the University of Virginia in Charlottesville.
All right. And in law school, can you describe the way during the first year of law school that the student body is divided?
Yes, so we're divided into 3 sections, X, Y, and Z. And you have all of your classes with the folks that are in your section for your entire first year.
And while you were in law school, did you ever meet an individual named Tara Louise Baker?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And when did you meet Tara?
Very first day of law school, we were in orientation, and that was
I agree. And there has been some stuff about the jury that has come out. I can't really remember all the details, but there's some funky stuff that apparently happened with the jury. It's rumor, I believe, but It'll be interesting to see what Attorney Cruz has to say on June 12th, because June 12th at 9 a.m., I believe, Edrick has a hearing to address the motion for a new trial. Unfortunately, in front of Judge Law. But yeah, so, and also, if you guys haven't heard, that is the day, then that night, I will be hosting a fundraiser for Edrick's appellate case, and to help his family hire the appellate attorney that they want, who is apparently a mentor of Attorney Cruz. So yeah, so it's a perfect day, actually. But I am working on inviting people, and never know who might show up. I'm gonna reach out and, you know, get over my fear of like reaching out to certain people, and yeah, go from there. So let's get back to this.
Moment.
And so when you say that was the moment, it seems like it was a quick friendship. Can you talk to us about that?
Yes. Literally from that moment, Tara and I and another woman named Jenya became very good friends. I don't remember many moments of law school after that we weren't together, studying, walking, anything.
All right. So can you explain to the jury kind of the academic rigor involved in that first year of law school?
Yes, exhausting. You are in class 5 to 8 hours a day, then you are studying another 5 to 6 hours a day. If you're lucky, you sleep some, eat some, but it is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life.
That experience, and in particular, sharing it with the same people in every class, did you find that to increase or impact the way relationships were forged at all?
Yes, you form these bonds through the stress that you're going through. You're all learning the same thing, you're all studying the same things, and you're all exhausted in the same way. People would form friendships that would turn into marriages. People would form friendships that turn into lifelong friendships. It's just unlike anything I've been through before. It's like being in the trenches, I suppose, although, I don't know what the way to describe it.
All right. And so would you say that would you characterize your relationship with Ms. Baker as falling into that category of relationships?
Yes, I would say from early on, I have called her one of my best friends. And I know it feels too short, but I don't know how to describe it other than if you don't go through that sort of very difficult thing with someone and it bonds you in this really particular way.
And as it relates, I think you've already testified to this, but there are 3 sections. You take all your classes with that section that you're in. Is that right?
Yes, first and second semester, your whole first year.
Okay. I'm going to show Your Honor, Mr. Cruz, what's marked as State's Exhibit 34. And Your Honor, I ask for permission to approach the witness and then continue to move freely through the well of the court as I question her. So I'm going to hand you State's Exhibit 34. I'm going to ask you to take a look at that. Once you've had a chance to review it, let me know.
Yes, I have seen it.
Okay. Do you recognize it?
Yes, this is the schedule from our second semester, so beginning of January 2001 here at law school. Mm-hmm.
Does that appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of what your schedule was for that semester of law school beginning in January of 2001?
It does.
Judge, I move to tender State's 34.
Any objection, Mr. Cruz? It is in.
Your Honor, I'm not going to necessarily ask to publish this to the jury at this point, but I'm going to hand it back to Ms. Lonstein. As it relates to Fridays for y'all, did y'all have classes on Fridays?
Yes.
All right. And what classes did you have?
We had property tort and civil procedure.
Okay. And property, was that the first class of the day?
Yes.
All right. And what time did that property class start?
9:30 in the morning.
And I don't think we covered this, but are you still practicing law?
Yes, I am.
All right. Where do you practice law?
I live in Washington, D.C., and I work for an agency called the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation.
And so backing up now, back to January of 2001, I want to ask you about a Thursday evening, which would have been January 18th of 2001. Would you and Miss Baker ever study together?
Frequently, if not every day.
Okay. And so where would y'all study when you studied?
So the law library always, but there are different parts of the law library. There's this sort of first room you come into that has these big windows and it's very sun-filled, but it's a more casual part where people sometimes have conversations. So sometimes you would study there if you were doing a study group or if you were just reading and it wasn't too intense. And then there's this walkway you can go through and you go into the quiet part of the library. And that's where you would go if you were studying for an exam, trying to write a paper, trying to focus.
Okay. And so that evening on that Thursday, were you and Miss Baker studying together?
Yes, we were in the quiet part of the library.
Okay. And as best you recall, I recognize as we sit here, it's been over 25 years since that night. Do you recall about when Miss Baker may have arrived at the law library to study with you?
Yes, I think she got there around 7:30.
Okay. And do you recall what y'all may have been working on?
I believe it was a paper.
Hey, nefarious.
It was definitely more than just like marking our law books because we both had our computers. So I believe we were writing something. And I know it sounds early because it was early in the semester, but that's just law school for you.
And as it relates to kind of that semester and Miss Baker's plans, was she approaching that semester with any kind of renewed or I guess elevated level of commitment to her grades?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, we all were, but she was the most organized. So she had a definite plan, whereas people like me were like, I'll try harder. But the end of our first semester was probably a bit of a shock to all of us, or, grades are hard. So her plan was to be more rigorous about her time in the library and to sort of make it into a job, like ending time, definite stay for the whole period.
And is there any particular ending time that you recall that Miss Baker was committed to?
Yes, it was 10 p.m.
Okay. So that evening, did you stay till 10 p.m.?
I did not. I had been at the library before. She had joined me there. So at that point, I was ready earlier than she was to go home. So I probably left around, I want to say around 9. Could have been a little bit later, but probably around 9.
Okay. And so was Miss Baker the type of person who had a lot of concern for the people around her?
Yes. I had to walk to school from based on where I lived. I lived just over the railroad tracks above where the Blind Pig Tavern used to be. And so not the safest of routes. So anytime I had left the library or school or anywhere before her, she would insist that I call her when I got home.
And so the area that you're describing, please correct me if I'm incorrect, but if you come down East Campus Road, going from North Campus to South Campus, and you turn left onto Research Drive, I believe it is, it goes by that area that you're talking about?
I think that's right.
Yeah, sorry.
No, sorry.
Go ahead, but I think I misnamed that street, but if you turn left underneath where the railroad tracks go over, is that what you're talking about?
It's in that direction, yes. It's actually been torn down and is a parking lot now, but that's the right direction, yes.
Okay. And so did she had that concern, did she ask you to do anything? Well, and that's going to call for hearsay. So I'm going to withdraw that question, Your Honor. Were you supposed to do anything when you got home?
Yes, I was supposed to call her when I got home, and I did not.
All right. And so did you receive a phone call that evening?
Yes, she called me about 9:30, maybe 9:45, and then she admonished me, scolded me because I had failed to call her, but I just didn't mean anything bad. I just forgot.
Okay. Do you need a cup of water? Or
Have some, thank you so
There's
much.
some tissues over there beside you if you see them and need them. Is that the last time you ever talked to Tara?
Yeah. I think the last thing she ever said to me was, I said, hello. And she said, you did not call me. And I said, I know, I'm so sorry. And she said, but you're okay? I said, I am. And she said, all right, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And that was kind of it.
So when you say I'll talk to you tomorrow, this is Thursday night.
Yes.
So tomorrow would be Friday, January 19th, 2001. Is that right?
Yes.
I would just object to the questions. I've given counsel leeway. I didn't want to just make.
All right.
I would ask them court to instruct them to ask appropriate questions.
All right, I'm going to sustain that objection if you will rephrase your questions to be non-leading.
Yes, Your Honor. What day would the next day have been?
January 19th, 2001.
And what day of the week would that have been?
Friday.
Okay. And so on Friday, what would y'all's first class of the day have been?
I believe it was property
All right. And I think we already talked about this, but about what time did that start?
at 9:30 in the morning.
Was Tara in class?
No, she was not.
Was that something that was unusual for Tara?
It was. And I recall my friends and I discussing it, but we thought, well, it's her birthday weekend. Maybe she slept in,
Okay. Did she show up for any of her classes after that?
No.
We've had 3 meetings that the state asks appropriate questions appropriately.
All right, so the prior 2 questions were leading. I'm going to sustain your objection with regard to that and ask the state to make sure that you rephrase and you don't lead your witness. The last question was actually not a leading question, so I'll overrule your objection with regard to the last question. You may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I think the last question I asked you is, did Tara show up for any of your classes that day?
She did not show up for any of our classes. No.
Okay. Were there any plans that y'all had for that evening?
Yes. As I said, it was her birthday weekend. So we had all planned to meet at a bar called The Winery just after class. And we did go. Her friends and I went, and she was not there.
Okay. When did you find out what had happened to Tara?
The next morning on January 20th.
how is it that you learned about Tara's murder?
A friend of mine from law school named Jim Davis called me, and he said, Katie, I'm so sorry, but Tara's died. And I yelled at him, and I was very mean. And I told him he was not funny. And then I hung up on him. And then I called our friends. We called them the Edricks because they lived in the same house. So I called the Edricks, and one of them answered. And I said, Eric, Jim has said the most insane thing to me. And he said that Tara died. So I need you to go get your paper and tell me he's wrong. And he did. He went out. And when he came back onto the line, he was just very shaken. And he said, Katie, I'm sorry. She died. I don't remember her.
Any response, Mr. Yellowman-Shilley, with regard to the hearsay objection?
Ms. Lonstein, I think the court's instruction to you would be, and my instruction is that please don't talk about in your answer anything anyone else said to you.
Fair enough.
Any objections?
I apologize. After that, I asked the friend that I was with to get me a newspaper. So that person did purchase me a newspaper. And then I saw the headline, Student Slain. And then the next thing I remember is I fell down, and then I started crying, and I don't know when I stopped, but that's how I found out.
I want to ask you a little more about your relationship with Tara. And I think, Jenya also seems to have been part of this group. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Would Tara share things with y'all that she didn't share with kind of the rest of the law school section and class?
That is my perception, yes.
Okay. Was there anything related to her last name that she shared with you that she didn't share with the rest of the law school section and class, to your knowledge?
Yes. To my knowledge, this was something she kept a little more private. Her name had been Barker. It was the name of the man who was her biological father, and she had changed it pretty close to law school, from my understanding, to Baker, which is the man she calls her daddy, his last name.
Okay. Were you aware of whether or not Tara was dating anyone?
Yes.
Okay. And who is that person, if you know?
His name was Chris. I'm sorry, I don't remember his last name, but yes, she was dating Chris, and she'd been dating him for a while, as far as I knew.
Did Tara, and I'm not asking you to get into anything Tara said to you, okay, but did she ever talk to you about Chris?
Yes, in a very normal way. We talked about our friends, we talked about our families, we talked about our relationships. I myself was in a relationship with at a time, so we shared stories like that.
What was, based on those conversations with Tara, what was your impression of their relationship?
That it was good. She was positive. She would smile when she talked about him. No, nothing except for happy.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you very much, Ms. Lonstein.
Cross-examination, Mr. Cruz.
Sorry for your loss, Ms. Lonstein. Your Honor, I do not have any questions, but I would ask if we could approach.
All right, may approach.
All right, that's where we're going to end it today. Because it's nap time. But yeah, that was a pretty rough testimony. So tonight's Talk Shite Night has been pushed to tomorrow because I forgot Aiden was going live again tonight. Or he's supposed to be anyway. So we will have 2 Talk Shite nights back to back, one tomorrow night, one Friday night at the normal time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, so, and then tomorrow we will continue day 2 of testimony. And thank you, Jeannie. I love you too. Again, I don't grift, other than to say donations are always welcome but never required. This one time, however, I will say, if you enjoy what I do and what Maelynn does, and if you are not subscribed to Maelynn already, please go subscribe to her. Right. Yes, yes. We are struggling this month because our son's, there's a mess up with our son's disability money, and I do need help with StreamYard this month. If you feel compelled, you can either cash at me at $NGM1984YT or Venmo me at NGM1984. You can also follow me on X at NGM1984YT or on Facebook, Angie Mead. If you have any case suggestions or would like to join the Discord, excuse me, sorry. You can email me at ngm1984yt@gmail.com or DM me on X or send me a DM in Discord. Yeah, so other than that, oh, by the way, the new babies have names now. Let's see if I can, before we go, image file. Is it 3? Yes. So this little girl is named Mary B. I don't have PayPal. I only have Cash App and Venmo, but thank you. So this little girl is named Mary B after the OG Mary B and the other Mary B as well. Let's see. So that was 3. Is it? Hang on. Nope. This little guy is named Jelly Bean. And there was a whole vote in Discord, in the Chat Rats Discord, which if you don't follow Rat House Media, definitely go follow Rat House Media. So that's 6. No, that's 5. 6. And then this little girl is named Dina after Dean. And she's quite the traveler already. Like, we always find her or Jelly Bean somewhere other than where we put them or where Mama was. And Mama is doing much better with feeding the babies. Like, it seems that me supplementing has encouraged her, because she always wants to be involved when I'm like feeding them formula. It has seemed to encourage her to pay more attention to her babies. Now, in her defense, she is just barely a year old, and but she was having some milk issues or production issues as well. So, yeah, so there's that. But yeah, they are doing really good. They are very vocal, especially Jelly Bean. He's such a boy. Oh my gosh. Yes, she is a baby herself. And this was actually her first heat that she got knocked up on. So, yeah, so I have been busy doing all that. It's been fun so far. They are, can you buy me a coffee? Where is Maelynn when I need her? She has all these links. Hang on. Dead air. I know. How do I share it? This is how little I know about, like, buy me a coffee. Yes, it is. Nefarious. It is in the description. Oh, I guess I got. What? How do I do that? How the heck do I do that? Okay, I'm gonna have to figure this out, but anyway, so hang on. Sorry. I'm trying. Yeah, that's Ladybug. Toy put that on there for me. Yeah, I love it. Hang on. Love it. I don't want to hear myself. Hang on 1 second. Here we go. Copy. Paste. There you go. I've never used my Buy Me a Coffee, so I have no idea how to like do anything with it. So maybe I should make a PayPal. Okay, maybe I need to go on the website on my computer. Anyway, okay, let's get out of this first, and then I will figure that all out. But anyway, I just want to say thank you for coming, and I will see you all tomorrow as we continue the, oh, what's a nice word? Roller coaster, shall we say. That is the Edrick Faust trial. Okay, okay. Yeah, I usually only use Cash App and Venmo, but I'll figure it out. So yeah, so let's see who's coming up tomorrow. I wonder if it's her friends or if Chris is tomorrow too. Not sure who that person is. Lunch break. Lunch break, lunch break, lunch break. That looks like the responding officer. Okay, it's just the lead detective, I believe that's next. And maybe a lab tech. So more dry testimony. Yay. Yeah, okay. I think all the good witnesses are day 3. So anyway. All right, I will talk to you all tomorrow, and I will see you in the chats tonight. Keep in mind, Aiden is going live again tonight, or should be, as long as, you know, people don't get to Christine and say, oh, you don't want to go on his show. Yeah, you do. But anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you in the chats. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Tara was 23 when they took her from the world. Her body was violated. Her house was set on fire. The wall kept what it saw, and the floor kept all the smoke. They left the case to gather dust under a broken law. Besides, said there was nothing that tied him to that day. They said the one she loved was the hand behind the flame. Now the fight begins. Now the fight begins to prove the verdict wrong. Every page still trembling, every silence long. Now the fight begins. Tara's name is strong. If the truth was buried, it still breathes along. But the jury stared ahead through the smoke and the spin. They left the case to gather dust and called it just a shame. Now the room is split in shadows and the witnesses all named. The wrong man standing in the light while the real one slips away. Years later there was a trial and the names all bent. His defense said nothing ties him to the crime scene floor. They pointed at the one she loved and asked who knocked that door. They said the wrong man stood there while the real one slipped away. Now the fight begins to prove the verdict wrong. Every page still trembling, every silence long. Now the fight begins. Tara's name is strong. If the truth was buried, it still breathes along. The records kept her bleeding in the dark of every page. His defense said nothing ties him to the crime scene floor. Said the one she loved was the hand behind the flame. 23 years and the names all bend, but the wound won't change.